Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We are back on the dev server and we're having a look at a new Chinese premium that is coming in. This is actually a Pakistani vehicle and it is the Al-Khalid, or the Al-Khalid 1 as it is in the game right now. This is a new premium which is going to be at rank 7, meaning that you can efficiently grind the whole of the tech tree with it. Which is pretty nice, but then again, you could just pick up the ZTZ96AP and not be in the top tier matchmaking and just do it as well. So don't know why you wouldn't do that unless there's some BRD compression that comes in, or maybe you just really love Pakistan. You know, that is another part of it, since this is a Pakistani vehicle exported from China. The closest vehicle to this that we have is the MBT-2000, which is very similar to it in many different ways. There is slight differences in terms of its armor, but the problem with it is the armor isn't fully modeled on this vehicle yet, as you can see here. It doesn't have the ERA blocks modeled, which is kind of weird. So my guess is they'll probably be a bit different, because you can see there's like 6 sets up here, where on the MBT there's only 2. So it's going to be slightly different in terms of its capabilities, same like over here as well, in terms of where the weak spots are, but the armor isn't modeled, so it's impossible to work out what's going to go on with this thing. Another interesting thing about this is the way that the gun is, and it doesn't change anything, but this gun is like pointed upwards, whereas the MBT one is pointed straight. So just a little thing there, and I'm pretty sure the aiming is broken on this thing right now, so that's probably what's going on. The other part of it that's kind of interesting is the targeting speed. So this thing has 30 degrees of turret rotation speed, where this one has less, but I'm pretty sure that's down to modifications and not you know, the vehicle itself. That's the only thing that's kind of different on the stat card right now, but it could just be down to that. The other parts of it are exactly the same, so it has the same ammunition. You have the Heat FS and the Fun HE, and also the HEVT, which can be quite fun to use against helicopters. And then you have the 2 APFS DS rounds, specifically the DTC 10-125, which for 10.7 is a very good round for this vehicle. Penetration is good overall, and the muzzle velocity and everything else means that you can go through pretty much anything that you want to. Has pretty good thermals as well, which help it out, and has access to a laser rangefinder, but no LWS in sight, which kind of sucks. The main problem with this thing is it's at 10.7, and being at 10.7 means that you get into the 11.7 bracket. Right now, the 2 meta BRs are obviously 11.7 and 10.3, so you have the opportunity to get downtied into 10.3, where you'll do very well, but you also have the opportunity to get absolutely creamed at 11.7, because there are not a lot of 11.0 and 11.3 vehicles right now, and since 11.7 is the top BR, there's a lot of people playing it and just annihilating people in it, so that's going to be a bit of a problem if you decide to purchase this. It has the standard autoloader that all of the Chinese MBTs have. This means it has the 7.1 second reload, which is the standard for the T-72, and also, as I said, all of the Chinese autoloaders, and the 3-man crew, since that's also standard. It does have this composite armor in the front, but once again, doesn't tell you what it is. So unless I'm guessing they're going to kind of replicate what's on the MBT-2000, but right now, we can't tell whether it's going to have different armor or if it's going to have the same armor, and I don't really like speculating. You can see the gun is also slightly off-center from the breech, which is quite funny. So if you decided to fire this one, I feel like the tank would actually explode. It does have a stabilizer, of course, on the 125. You have the 12.7mm on the top, and also a 7.6mm coaxial, which is good too. And the big thing about this vehicle, which is a big improvement over the ZTZ96, which is the other premium and standard tech tree vehicle, is it has the 1200 horsepower engine, which isn't really a huge improvement, but the reverse. This transmission is a godsend for these Chinese vehicles. There are too many vehicles that are in the Chinese tech tree that do not have access to a good reverse gear. Luckily, this one does. It can go forward nearly 70 kilometers an hour, pretty decent acceleration, but the main thing is it can go backwards. So you can fire, retreat, and then do the same thing again. This is an advantage that a lot of NATO MBTs have, over their kind of eastern counterparts, if you want to see it like that. Their actual control of where they position on the map is so much better, even though they have much larger vehicles which have much larger silhouettes. The Khalid also has access to the smoke grenades, which is quite nice on it, so at least, you know, you have that set up too. And at the same time, you have all the fuel tanks and everything like that moving around, which can soak shells sometimes for it. Since it only has the autoloader as kind of a new piece in the X-ray, if this gets shot, you can still fire back with the gun, but you cannot load a shell until it's repaired. And that is one of the problems with the vehicle like this nowadays, but it's nice to see that they actually added it in because that is more standard. Now, it does have a base armor level of 280 on the turret, which is quite good, and then also it has, you know, 76 and 80, but once again, there's not really much point in talking about the armor because of the fact that it's just not fully there. What is worth talking about is the camos, though. This is the standard camo that this vehicle gets. So it has a lovely green and brown camo. It gets a quadricolor camo, which is fantastic, very similar to a lot of the other ones that China has. This is my favorite, definitely overall. And then also the unicolor winter, which is the boring one, which you'll see on a lot of other vehicles. So that, to me, is this vehicle kind of like in a nutshell. It's very similar to ones that we've seen previously, like the MBT-2000. It's very similar in how it's kind of set up, and it's going to be a pretty good bog standard premium, very similar to the ones that we've seen like the 2A4M can and stuff like that. The major issue with this vehicle is the fact that it's at a BR, which means it's not going to see its BR too much, and until they really, you can see here, by the way, this is the aimer, so the gun is not ready, is probably the best way of putting it. Somehow that HEVT killed that guy. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, the aimer is not ready with it. We're gonna have to aim down there to hit things. But it's just at a bit of a dodgy BR right now. And if you have the MBT-2000, of course you can, you know, run it with it, which is really nice. But at the same time, it's not something that you want to because of the fact that you'll get up to quite a lot. China is getting really powerful now in terms of its high-tier weaponry, and it's nice to see they're getting a premium alongside of it to be able to help them out. But at the same time, you're going to have to wait for a little bit more decompression for a vehicle like this to really show off how powerful it is. I think what we're going to do is we're going to probably have a look at this later on as well, once its armor level is where it should be, so we can actually work out how it's actually going to be in the game. Since it is in an unfinished state, and since it is a premium, I don't really want people buying it in this state at all, so we're going to have to see what they change on it going forward. As always though, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.
I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.